My elderly mom is on hospice, and her new friend gives me a bad vibe. I cannot for the life of me figure out why I feel like this, but all of my spidey senses are tingling on this woman. Here's a bit of the background. My elderly mom has been ill for quite some time and is on hospice. She was living in an independent living place where it was all elderly people in apartment-type units. She has been living there for about 6 or 7 months and made a few casual old people friends, but mostly kept to herself. So I thought, a couple weeks ago, my boys and I were visiting my mom. We live right down the street and visit often. When a woman walks up to us with my mom, I extended my hand to introduce myself to this woman when she dismissed the handshake and instead went in for a hug and said, "Oh, I only do hugs for family and we're pretty much family." Okay, a little weird coming from someone I've never met before, and also never even heard a single mention of her, but I pretty much brush it off thinking to myself that she's probably just really lonely or something. I asked my mom about this new friend, and she just says that they met there at the old people place and she's been a really good friend to her. Great. I love when my mom has friends. It's important to have friends. But this woman just keeps giving me weird vibes and I can't pinpoint why. A few things that seem odd to me. 1, my mom is moving to a more traditional apartment complex this weekend, and this new friend liked the new apartment complex so much that she decided to move to the same place as well. Her apartment isn't ready yet, but she'll be moving to the same complex as my mom next month. 2, she apparently bought my mom's dog a "I have the world's best auntie" sweatshirt for Christmas. They had known each other for maybe 2 months at that point. 3, she called the other day to, I don't really know why, I guess to give me her phone number and more formally introduce herself to me. She talked about doing a lot of caretaking stuff for my mom. "Oh, I can manage her medications for her if you want." So I replied that while I appreciate the offer, there's a lot of controlled medications, and hospice prefers to keep minimal people involved in the medicine stuff, and that taking on caretaking responsibilities for a friend can get exhausting, so it might be best for them to just focus on being friends, rather than her wearing herself out trying to take care of her. She immediately went to my mom and made it sound like I was shoot, talking my own mom saying how she's just an exhausting person, blah blah. When I confronted the new friend about going to my mom and relaying our private conversation in a totally twisted way, the friend lied and said that my mom had grabbed her phone and read it all in the text messages. It was over the phone and not at all via text messages. When I pointed out there were no texts, she just kind of stumbled, and I dropped it because I knew it wouldn't get anywhere. 4, every time I talk to my mom on the phone, I can hear this woman telling her what to say or adding comments in. And none of it is outwardly worrisome things, but it feels like I can't have any conversation with just my mom. I'm a very trusting person who generally tries to see the best in people, and this woman has not given me any concrete reasons to doubt her intentions, and has in fact been very friendly and polite to me in all of our interactions. Nonetheless, I can't shake this feeling that there's something wrong here. I sat my mom down yesterday and had a conversation with her about my feelings towards this new friend, and she didn't get defensive at all, but disagreed with me and said that her new friend is just being kind and offering to help with stuff because she knows my mom is not the most organized of people and could use the help. I begged my mom to please be cautious and to take the friendship slow and to keep it simply as a friendship and let me, her actual family, handle caretaking stuff. Despite no changes in medications, my mom has been more confused lately and comes across to me like she's overtaken medication, but I only give her 1 dose at a time and the rest is locked up at all times, so it isn't that. But just to be safe, since she's more confused lately, I took my mom's credit and debit cards so no one can take advantage of her financially. Please help me figure out what this woman would have to gain in coming between my mom and I if it isn't medication or money. I don't know how to do a background search or if that's legal for any random person to do. But I did look this new friend up on a couple websites, and all I learned from that is that she has a lot of also known as names, but I can't find anything else. I'll pay for a background search if anyone has a recommendation for good ones. We're in California. Does any of this raise any red flags to anyone else? Or am I just being too overprotective of my mom on this? Oh, I almost forgot. I called one of my mom's oldest and closest friends the other day and asked her if she's met this new friend, and if so, what was her impression. She said, "Honestly, I don't know why I feel like this, but I just get a bad feeling about her. I just feel like she's up to no good." Hearing this made me feel better, in that I'm not the only one to pick up on something, but I don't know what, if anything, to do about it all. Now for the 1-month update. Thank you so much for all of the responses and heartfelt advice. I'm so sorry to have been MIA for so long after I originally posted, but it's just been a lot. I needed to take a beat to take it all in and deal with the punches from real life that kept coming my way. Immediately after I posted last, I went to talk with my mom. I explained my concerns, and she agreed to the 2 cameras I put up in her apartment. On moving day, I was out of the apartment for a few minutes, taking my kids back to my house, when I logged onto the camera app to test out the settings. I overheard my mom and the friend talking about me. It was not very nice, and very much seemed like the friend was just teeing things up to come between my mom and I. My mom was playing right into it. The friend, I'll just call her Fran to make it easier, was gone when I got back to the apartment, but I got into it with my mom. I was crying, telling her how hurtful it is to hear my own mother participating in a negative conversation about me after everything I do and have done for her. She cried, I cried, it was awful. But at the end, I had at least convinced her that Fran was up to no good. Mom agreed to create some distance between her and Fran, and she immediately told Fran that her behavior towards me was not going to fly any longer, and all talk of anything to do with me was off limits. Fran seemed to understand and blamed her behavior towards me on some flimsy excuse that I didn't buy for a second. All was calm for a week or so, when one morning I called my mom to check in on her, only to find out she was with Fran out running errands. When I pushed for more information, I uncovered that Fran had taken my mom to the bank so that my mom could obtain a new debit card. Fran very much knew I had taken my mom's debit card, with my mom's blessing, because my mom was having episodes of increased confusion and wasn't aware of who or what she was spending money on, because my mom had forgotten she had given me her previous debit card. That was the final straw for me. That night, I sent Fran the following text message. "Hi, Fran. Mom told me about you guys going to the bank today to get a card. And I just wanted to let you know that I know my mom appreciates your friendship, but that I do not appreciate your getting yourself involved in things you have no business being involved in. Mom and I have her finances under control between the 2 of us, and we do not need any assistance getting her squared away. No matter how well-meaning, she's asked me to take her card again, the new one, and has put me as the main account holder so I can be sure she has access to what she needs, but that no one else does. I want to believe you're coming from a sincere place of just wanting to help my mom, but it complicates friendships greatly when you get into financial territory. I handle all of my mom's finances and medical stuff, and it's working for us that way. My mom very much appreciates having you as her friend, but she doesn't need a caretaker. I've got that covered. If you sincerely want to be her friend, you need to take 10 giant steps back and check yourself regarding how you are coming across to me. Because from my perspective, it very much looks like you are dancing precariously close to the elder abuse line. And I'm sure you wouldn't want me to get the authorities involved here. But that's exactly what will happen if things continue down this path. Fran responded with some reply akin to, "Oh my word, I would never take advantage of anyone, and I just wanted to help your mom, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and I think you and I have gotten off on the wrong foot, daughter, which is my fault, but I'd like to start over again, more blah, blah, blah." I never replied to Fran further, and she has, shockingly, not really reached out to my mom since. I believe she is due to move into the apartment complex this weekend, though, so we shall see if she pops back up out of the woodwork. I think she understands that I see through her attempts to come between my mom and I, and that she'll need to focus her efforts to scam people somewhere else. I notified my mom's hospice nurses and her social worker as well. I also bought a really super cool medication dispenser that is locked and syncs up to an app, so I get notified every time it dispenses a medication. That made me feel much better about Fran not having any access whatsoever to my mom's prescriptions. But the trip to the bank showed me exactly what Fran was after. I notified the bank that if Fran is with my mom, they are to contact me immediately. All in all, I think most of you were correct. Fran was using my mom for money, or she was trying to, but luckily I caught it before much damage was done. I think I've made my position on Fran clear to her, which is why she is staying away. I think I still need to contact the independent living facility about my concerns with Fran, because my mom says that Fran is going to be working at the independent living facility after she moves out, and I don't want her being in a position to take advantage of anyone else. Thank you again to everyone who replied and reached out to me with resources and/or advice. I read every reply, and I actually read a number of them to my mom as well. It really helped her to see Fran for who she really is. Now for a new update. Thank you to those who keep checking in with me, asking how my mom is doing and if there's any updates. My mom is still on hospice and doing okay, all things considered. She has her good and her bad days, but she has been mostly lucid lately, and I'm grateful for that. Fran has been mostly MIA, thank goodness, ever since I told her, in no uncertain terms, to beat it. The only time I have heard from her since was when my mom's phone wasn't working, and Fran called me and left a message wanting to know if my mom was okay. I left her on read, so that told me that my mom hasn't cut her out completely, although she tells me she has. But I have, with my mom's blessing, taken control of any avenue Fran could possibly use to take advantage of my mother. I alerted the hospice nurses and social worker, and I let Fran know that I had done that as well. My mom also finally made some better friends who live nearby, and they also helped keep an eye on her for me. I did not go to the police, as I didn't feel I had a case to do so, but I did let Fran know I wouldn't hesitate to do so if given reason. If Fran comes back around my mom or gives me any reason to think something is up, I'll update you all to let you know. But as of now, my mom is safe. I handle all her medication as well as her finances, so no one can weasel their way in to try to take anything at all away from my mom. Thank you to everyone for your care and concern. Now for a few relevant comments. One commenter suggested they want her pills. In response, I said, I thought the same thing, which is why I locked them up tight. My mom agreed to a camera right over her dispenser so we can keep eyes on her medications at all times. The machine I got her is pretty cool too, and alerts me via text if the machine door is ever opened. Not that it could be, because it has a passcode on it that even my mom doesn't know. So there's lots of safeguards in place to ensure no one gets into any of her stuff at all. Am I the idiot for calling out my husband for stealing my post-surgery meals and leaving me to starve? I just had surgery on my stomach and intestines almost 2 weeks ago. Because of the surgery, I have to adhere to a very strict diet until I'm fully healed. If I stray from the diet, it could cause severe complications and possibly lead to death. So for the first 2 weeks after surgery, I can only drink a full liquid diet. The most solid thing I can eat is pudding. I can't even have soup with any chunks of veg meat in it, even if they're soft. There's not a lot of variety to choose from, and I'm not having a good time at all. Plus, I'm still having pain from the procedure and some nausea, and I've had to go in for IV fluids and iron twice now. Prior to surgery, I meal prepped for myself and for the family, so I wouldn't have to worry about it after. I made meals for myself for every stage of the diet and with specific macros ingredients to meet my needs and comply with my other health problems. For example, I have celiac disease, so everything has to be gluten-free. I also follow a low-sugar, low-carb diet, so everything had to comply with that as well. I also made meals for him and our son, meals specifically requested by him. I stocked up on snacks they liked and asked for. We also have a fairly strict budget right now, so I made everything from scratch to save some money. About a quart of everything I made is in the freezer attached to our fridge for convenience sake. The rest is in the deep freeze in the garage. So most of the meals in the house freezer are gone, so I went out to the garage to restock. All of the meals I'd made for myself are gone, just completely emptied out. And I'm really upset because I have no energy right now to make more. Living off of liquids and having anemia will do that to a person. My diet is, hopefully, progressing to soft solids tomorrow, so I was really excited to be able to eat some of the food I'd made. I asked him about it, and he blamed it on our son first, which I know is BS because the kid hates all of my special food with a passion. There's no way he'd be sneaking my food. So I questioned my husband again. He admitted to it, said he'd been taking my meals to work as his lunch because he was too tired to make his own lunch before work. He has always made his own lunch up until now. He also said he was bored with the lunches he makes and my food provided variety. I am exhausted. This recovery period is kicking my butt. Before surgery, I ran a mile every day. Now, I barely have enough energy to walk up the stairs. I'm not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds. I'm not supposed to do anything more strenuous than walking. Even taking a shower is tiring right now. The anemia, dehydration, and lack of proper nutrition is making it worse. So when he admitted to taking my food, I just started crying. He hasn't been much help after surgery. My son, 11-yo, has been doing all the lifting for me and helping me with chores and cooking. When I started crying, he got disgusted and told me I was overreacting and being a baby. He refuses to make me new meals. He refuses to help me make new meals. He says it's been almost 2 weeks and I should be able to do stuff on my own. At this point, I'm seriously considering divorce. I mean, my son and I are already doing everything on our own already, and I know my kid won't eat my diet food. Am I overreacting? Also, I just found out he's raided my non-perishable food stores in the pantry. It was mostly sugar-free Jell-O and pudding, stuff I can eat on the liquid diet. Pretty much everything is gone, except for some sugar-free orange Jell-O. Now for the 1-week update. This will be long. I apologize in advance. The food I had in the deep freeze in the garage was for the next stage of my diet, which is soft foods with a high protein content. Think egg salad, tender cooked chicken, vegetarian chicken chili, soft seafood, etc. Definitely more tasty than the liquid diet I was on. So maybe that's why my husband ate them. I don't know. I'm still not clear on why he did what he did. I have no idea if he ate them or threw them out, as many of you suggested. I did ask him, and he danced around it and didn't provide any answers. I think maybe he did a combination of the two. I think he has some built-in resentment, as I've had health issues since before we married. He knew what he was getting into, and he married me anyway. I don't think he realized the toll it could have on him and our relationship, though. He's not a caretaker, just to clear things up. I'm not sick enough, except while recovering from surgery, to need someone to take care of me. I am very independent, and I do everything myself. I do most of the childcare, cleaning, errands, cooking, managing money and expenses. You get the idea. He does get upset because I'm not always able to do activities with him that he really enjoys, like hiking, fishing, frisbee golf, etc. Mostly things that involve being outside. I'm very sensitive to temperature, and heat makes me physically sick. I'm also supposed to avoid the sun, as it gives me a rash and makes me nauseated. We do a lot of indoor activities, like playing games, movies, museums, going to the gym, swimming indoors, etc. I also make an effort to spend time with him individually and as a family. Up until this surgery, we have had no issues, and I had no idea he would act this way. Maybe I missed some red flags, I don't know. My husband has never been hurtful, nor has he ever done anything like this before. That's why I made the post. I was really confused because I had no idea where his attitude was coming from and thought maybe I did something. Like I stated above, I think he has some built-up resentment or something. He's always been understanding and respectful of my needs and my health, and has never shown that he may have any differing feelings. Our intimacy life is great. He stated he's very satisfied in that aspect. He says he sees that I'm putting forth a lot of effort to spend time with him and make him a priority in my life, and he says he appreciates it. So unless he's feeding me a line of BS, this isn't the cause either. The surgery I had was removal of benign tumors I had in my stomach and part of my intestine. They had to remove 3/4 of my stomach and part of my small intestine. They got all of the tumors and are optimistic they won't return. I'll have to be very aware of my nutrition for the rest of my life, as I will have malabsorption issues. The surgery was done laparoscopically, so it's not as painful and doesn't require as much recovery as an open procedure. So on to the update. After we fought and he refused to rectify the situation, I told him we needed time apart. He went to stay at his mom's house, as I don't have any friends or family nearby. For food, I made some scrambled eggs and hard-boiled some eggs to get me through dinner that night and breakfast in the morning. The next day, we talked on the phone for a couple of hours. He apologized profusely. He explained he was extremely stressed at his job and he was really worried about me and my health. I told him that is not an excuse for treating me like crap, nor does it seem like he was worried about me at all, since he did what he did. He agreed with me and apologized again. He agreed to go to individual and couples therapy, which is huge because he doesn't like or believe in therapy, as he's had bad experiences in the past. I also see my own therapist and have been for the last 15 years, to be clear. He also agreed to buy all of the groceries to replace all of the food he took, and he agreed to make my meals for me with a little guidance as he's not great at cooking. I made it clear that if he does something like this again, there will be no more chances given, and I will file for divorce. He also apologized to our son for putting more responsibilities on his shoulders. My husband is now back to staying in our home. He has been doing all the things I am not supposed to do, and he's working on remaking all of my meals. I've been teaching him how to cook easy meals for him and our kid so he can do so in the future. He's been nothing but polite, sweet, loving, and respectful. He's also been putting forth an effort to take on more responsibilities in the house, so I'm not forced to have to do everything. I am, however, worried that this is all just a temporary fix because he wants to avoid divorce. I'm keeping an eye out for red flags. I'm not willing to put up with poor treatment. I'm just waiting for him to get comfortable and revert back to old habits. So we will see what happens. Only time will tell. To be clear, he's never treated me badly in the past, which is the main reason I decided to give him a second chance. I'm really hoping it's an aberration. As for his stress at work, his place of employment is severely understaffed at the moment. He's been going to work early and staying late to help them with this issue. He's tired and cranky, which is understandable. Adding my recent surgery on top of things, and he just couldn't handle it. He knew my surgery would be complicated, and he says he's afraid I'd die or end up with complications. This is understandable as well. I'd feel the same if roles were reversed. But he does agree that none of this gives him an excuse for his behavior, and he's agreed to work on it. He says he is very satisfied and happy with all other aspects of our life together, and he says he's really disappointed with himself for the way he acted. Again, we'll see how it works out. I'm taking everything he's saying with a grain of salt. That's it. I can't think of anything else to add. I'll post another update if anything changes. Thank you to everyone who was kind and expressed concern for my health and my situation. Now for a top comment. Red Hot Bumblebee said, "I was afraid you'd die, so I got rid of all the food you'd need to survive." That makes zero sense. I'm glad you're keeping an eye out for red flags. It sounds like his mom probably, hopefully, told him how awful he was, and it helped him realize he was wrong. But all the stress in the world doesn't excuse him actively sabotaging your recovery. Am I the idiot for calling out a bride who uninvited my friend and her partner because of her in-law's homophobia? My friend Kelly is getting married next Saturday. She asked myself and 3 other friends to be her bridesmaid, her sister as MOH. One of our friends, Ellis, is in a same-sex relationship. Kelly seems to have no issues with it since she asked Ellis to be her bridesmaid and invited Ellis's partner as a guest to the wedding. Well, last night, Kelly texted Ellis and told her she's no longer a bridesmaid and she and her partner aren't welcome to the wedding. Ellis was confused and pressed for a reason. It turns out Kelly's future in-laws are furious. Fucking gay sluts are attending their wedding. It's a sacred place and dirty hoes have no business being there. Ellis called me earlier this morning while my boyfriend and I were sleeping. She was really upset and crying. I tried to comfort her the best I could, and we are meeting up for dinner later. So I called Kelly and asked what was going on. She tells me it's no big deal. She's only missing a plate of food, and she will make it up to her. She also has the nerve to tell me to ask Ellis to lend her the bridesmaid dress because she found someone to replace her, so it wouldn't look uneven at the wedding. It's such a hassle and last minute. If everyone would just be normal, then this wouldn't happen. I pretty much lost it right there. I told her she's the shittiest piece of shoot I have ever met. She's just all into looks, and I told her I am not going to the wedding either and hung up on her. My boyfriend heard this all go down and texted the groom that he's not going to be the best man either. My boyfriend also told his friends about what happened, and they are also not going to the wedding. The MOH calls me up and says I'm such a witch that I ruined the wedding for Kelly, and I'm just starting shoot up. I'm honestly glad I bowed out, but I'm left wondering if I should have just kept to myself and then confronted Kelly after the wedding. Our tight group thinks I did nothing wrong, but others said I shouldn't dictate who gets to go to their wedding. Now for a few important comments. One commenter asked what the groom thinks of this. I informed them that the groom had no idea. His parents went straight to Kelly without telling him. He's angry at his parents and Kelly. He's a really good guy and wants to apologize to Ellis tonight if she's willing to see him. Another commenter said, "Clearly not the idiot. You sound like a very good friend and a great ally to the community. Nevertheless, you are wrong on one point. Not only her in-laws are homophobes, but Kelly is also one." I agreed and said, she's never shown herself to be a hater or made any hateful remarks for the 13 years I've known her. She also asked Ellis to be a bridesmaid before the rest of us. I guess the stress really got to her, and she's showing her true colors. Now for the next day update. My boyfriend is a huge Redditor and said I must make an update. He's a little jealous my post got me some shiny hardware. I told Ellis about this post, and both of us have read every single reply. Thank you for all the kind words, encouragement, stories, and suggestions on how I could have handled it better. So yesterday was a huge shoot show. The groom, Eric, came to the restaurant where we had dinner and apologized to Ellis. He also wanted to make a few things clear. He had no idea Kelly would go behind his back and tell Ellis and Anita, her partner, they aren't welcome to the wedding. And most importantly, his parents didn't say any of those things. His father made an offhand comment which translates to, "What's a good girl like Ellis doing with another woman?" His mother said, "Children these days think differently. You antique cow shouldn't talk so much." Kelly took it upon herself to interpret that her future in-laws meant they hated homosexuals. In-laws weren't furious and never said Ellis and Anita aren't welcome to the wedding. Kelly and a few of us speak that dialect fluently. There's no way she didn't understand exactly what Eric's parents said. The wedding is called off as Eric wants to step back and think if Kelly is the right match for him. Anita tells us Kelly has been very passive-aggressive towards her and Ellis for the past few weeks. Anita said she thought it was the stress of the wedding, so Kelly was acting up. I think it's also because Anita and Ellis are getting married at the end of the year. We live in a country where gay marriage is non-existent. In fact, if you are queer, you as a person don't exist. Ellis and Anita have talked about going to Canada or Taiwan to get their marriage license and holding a mini banquet back in our country. Someone suggested we all go to Taiwan for a mini vacation, and they can have a small wedding there. We have been talking nonstop about this for the past month. To be honest, we were talking about the vacation rather than the wedding, since it's the first time most of us have traveled there. Kelly is probably jealous that Ellis upstaged her. Either way, Ellis and I feel incredibly guilty for how it all went down. We've known Kelly for over a decade, and we don't want to see her go down in flames. It's a pity that a friendship had to end this way over a single day.